Hey guys, it's Chris from Homesteading Alliance, and I want to give you a tour of the members area and what you're going to get when you join. Alright, so on the left hand side you'll see all the different sections we have currently, and the first one is wild foraging. So under the wild foraging is the edible and medicinal plants guide, and you can just click on these buttons and you'll be able to download that to your computer and save the everything comes in a PDF guide. So that is the edible and medicinal plants guide. Next section is gardening 101. Okay, so we have the compost, and this is actually an article about compost and how to make awesome compost, which is basically the main thing that you need to do if you want to grow any sort of plant, tree, or anything, even animals. Okay, it all comes down to compost and the soil. Okay, so that is a vital skill for any homesteader, and basically the foundation for any homesteader or gardener, or if you're trying to produce your own food of any sort. Next is the best places to get trees, plants, and seeds, and I've compiled a big list here where you can get high quality, low cost plants and seeds that I've personally used and researched other places to use. Next section is the heirloom versus hybrid seeds and the differences, and again the sources to get those, okay, because there's a huge difference. Heirloom seeds are basically the closest to the wild relative of that plant that you can get, and that is where they're not going to be genetically modified. And for you guys that want to save your own seeds, so you don't have to go out and purchase seeds, heirloom is where you want to go, and I explain the differences between hybrid and heirloom, and basically why you want to go with heirloom seeds. Next is the ultimate food forest list. Okay, so creating a food forest is basically you're going to take this list and use it to create a food forest. So there's 7 layers of a forest, and each of these has its own thing. So you can see there's tall trees, there's shrubs, there's a ground layer, there's a vine layer, and I have listed all the layers so you can mimic a forest, but it'll be an edible forest, and you can plant one of these, and I highly recommend that you guys go and plant one of these, and especially if you're doing like any sort of survival garden or survival food forest in this case. I mean, anybody coming along, can notice a regular garden because straight lines and everything, So if someone were going to steal your food, I mean, these look like a normal forest, but hidden within that forest is tons of food, can bring tons of wildlife and just there's so many benefits to it. And once you plant one of these, once it's done, and they just grow for your lifetime and your children's lifetime, I mean, probably past there. So you're planting for the future with a food forest like this. The next is the ultimate guide to greenhouses. You can download the guide here, get your greenhouse going, do all the stuff to extend your gardening season or get a jump start on your gardening season and lengthen your garden season. Next is aquaponics. Okay, aquaponics is huge, and that's the relationship between fish farming and growing plants by using fish and having basically an ecosystem of fish and plants. Okay, so and it's highly productive, because think about it. With aquaponics, basically anything in the water. I mean, you guys have swam before and gone in the water, and it's almost like a zero gravity environment. So just think about the roots when they're in this type of environment, especially if it's highly oxygenated and you give it the right nutrient by using the fish and everything like that. It's highly productive systems. Actually, they're the most productive systems in the world. So this is a great guide, and there's going to be more coming on all these sections, but this is what we have so far. The next is the chicken section. Let me close this. And I have the ultimate guide to raising chickens. And there's a lot of great systems in here to raising your own chickens, and especially if you guys want to raise chickens, without dealing with the manure, smelling that manure and all the stuff like these other systems that you might have turned off on. So I'll show you how to raise chickens in this guide for both egg production, increasing your garden fertility and everything, and all the things that chickens give you as benefits for meat, eggs, and everything that they can do for your garden and everything. And chickens are awesome pets as it is. They're a lot easier to keep control of than dogs and stuff like that. I've had up to 97 chickens at one point, probably even more, because I had baby chicks in stages too. So they're really easy to care for, and the amount of outputs that they put out and will give you is incredible. And it's really easy to raise chickens. So that is the ultimate guide to raising chickens. Next is the heating and cooking without power. All right, this guide is especially right now in this time. This winter is like record-breaking colds all over the U.S., especially here. I'm in New England right now, so we've had a period in the last month with record-breaking. Right now it's in the 20s or something. So I have this guide for if you lose power or anything like this. Everyone in New England, where I live, I think should have some sort of backup heat source or something that they can cook on if the grid goes down. I remember, like 6 years ago, I was at my buddy's house and we lost power, and it was during the winter, and we lost power on his street, and we heated his house and cooked on this stove without power, and we were just living it up like like nothing had ever happened. Let alone we're looking outside and watching people in his neighborhood that have no power, and they're doing whatever they can to try to heat their house, get food, get water, and we're sitting there like nothing has ever happened, and we're literally watching people bug out, leaving the neighborhood and evacuating their houses because they were without power, without heat, and without the resources that you need. And these are vital, especially if you live in cold climates. Everybody can live without AC, but heat is the main thing. That if you don't have heat, and like I said, you don't have a source to maybe boil water, if you don't have a source to cook food with, you're not going to last too long. And these people did not last too long. They knew it, and they were literally bugging out. We saw people picking people up from the neighborhood. We actually had to go over and help the next door neighbors that were and give them resources that we had and help them out with what we had, and then everybody in the neighborhood looked to us, and we were the younger people in this neighborhood, and they wanted us to join these meetings and stuff like that. And it's crazy to me that and then they go each winter and don't have these resources that we had. And it's New England. You're going to lose power at some point. It's just inevitable. Stuff happens. There's ice storms. There's giant snowstorms. Someone can hit a telephone pole and your grid can come out. So these are vital resources to surviving and staying warm in the wintertime. So, and cooking food. Obviously you need it. So that's that. This is one crucial guide for every homesteader that you need to have. All right. The next is food preservation. So if you're going to be doing any sort of homesteading, we got the canning of fruits and vegetables and 101 jam recipes. Okay, so like preserving your own food, this is all going to be food preservation area. I'm going to be adding more to this, but preserving your own food and basically taking what you actually grow so you can preserve it and it's not wasted is a vital homesteading skill. So that's what's inside the Homesteading Alliance members area so far. There's going to be content updated frequently, and I'll also be doing tutorial videos in there too. So all right, look forward to seeing you guys on the inside.